Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session of the World Data Forum on new approaches of NSOs in reaching out to a broader audience. We're very happy to have you all here, and we're looking forward to this session where we will be hearing from 4 statistical offices in Africa and Asia on their approaches to reaching out to, So we're looking forward to having everyone listening in and also to join actively through the chat in Attendify and also through the app that my colleague will be sharing more information about shortly. Next slide, please. Next slide. So while we're waiting for the next slide, I can also share with you the agenda. We will have a very brief introduction of the panelists of the session. Then we will hear from 4 countries, from Ethiopia, from Kyrgyzstan, from Ghana, and from the state of Palestine. That will be followed by a Q&A session. And then at the end, we will have a presentation of the winning ideas that Richard will be introducing us to shortly. But first of all, also, we wish you all a really happy and fun World Statistics Day. There have been some activities already. If you want to join, you can have a look at the UN World Statistics Day homepage. And you can also use the hashtag StatsDay2020 to share the work that you have been doing related to the Statistics Day. Next slide, please. So on the next slide, we have the 4 speakers. We will be introducing them more in detail later on when it's their turn to share the work that they have been doing in their countries. Next slide, please. And here are the moderators. It's Dr. Richard Tonkin, whom you will be hearing from soon, and myself, Vibeke Nielsen. Very happy to have this session with you and to hear your ideas and to also be able to share some of the work that the countries that we have been working with in the last years have been doing. Next slide, please. And over to you, Richard.
Okay. Hello, everyone. As Rebecca said, I'm Richard Tonkin, and I'm very pleased to be hosting the interactive element, what should be a really compelling session today. So as you've seen, we've got some wonderful speakers lined up who I know will have many valuable insights on this topic. But equally, I know that among hundreds of people that we've got listening today, many of you will have great ideas of your own, and we'd love to hear about them. So to do that, we're going to be using a site called Pigeonhole, and we'd encourage everyone in the session to go to it to either share their ideas or vote on their favourites. To do that, you can either go to the website pigeonhole.at and enter the code you can hopefully see on the screen now, GW9TQJ. Alternatively, you can scan the QR code that you can see on your smartphone and you'll be taken straight there. And when you're there, please tell us about some of the innovative and effective approaches that you've seen for engaging users of official statistics. Or perhaps you have an idea that you haven't seen implemented yet that you think would be really effective in reaching out to particular groups of users. Let us know. As well as suggesting your own ideas, you also have the opportunity to vote on all of the others. So let us know about the ones that you'd like to hear more about. We'll discuss the most popular ideas at the end of the session, and those suggesting them will have the opportunity to join us briefly to share a little bit more about them if they'd like. Just to add that we're only using Pigeonhole for this exercise. If you've got any questions for the speakers, please use the chat option in the Attendify app, and they'll be picked up from there. That's all from me for now, but I'll be back later to provide an update on how things are going. Back to you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Richard. And as he was saying, we're really looking forward to hearing about your ideas and suggestions for how to engage with users. So I will be giving a short introduction and presentation, and then we'll be going over to our 4 panelists. So we see a changing landscape. We see that there is an increased demand for data and statistics. The SDGs have very much contributed to this. And it also requires a lot of coordination with a variety of actors. Next. There seems to be some delay in the next. Helena? So I'll just continue. We also have added demand for data and statistics through COVID-19, which also adds to the needs for data and statistics. And at the same time, we see that it's been more challenging now with COVID to also collect data in the traditional ways of doing so. So it's an added challenge to many NSOs. At the same time, we also see that there are many alternative data providers that are sharing information, which puts an additional challenge to many NSOs and kind of pushes the National Statistical Offices to be more active, to reach out more than maybe has been done traditionally. Next, please. We see also that many of the users aren't aware of the varying quality of alternative sources. Some of them are good, but others are maybe not. So that is also a role that has been put on many of the statistical offices to engage more with users and share that they are really a trusted partner in, or should be trusted, maybe compared to many others in the statistics community. So the statistical organizations also have a more challenging role when it comes to all the different actors now. So from maybe being a small partner on the side that is producing statistics and publishing them, there's a lot of people and different agencies and entities now to coordinate with related to the SDGs, to COVID-19, and the overall interest in data that we're seeing. So the NSOs have also had to kind of take on a role of coordinators, of facilitators to create and share high quality data. And that also requires a lot of user engagement, which we will hear from or hear about from some of our speakers today. Next, please. So as I was saying, there has been a traditional approach of focusing on dissemination, but now it's moving more in the direction in more and more countries to have a two-way communication and a feedback loop where we first ask for input, you adjust, and then maybe ask for input again. So there's a continuous approach around this. Next, please. So another aspect of this is also that we see that we need to establish and maintain the trust. And doing that is also linked to the interaction with different users to showcase why we are important actors in this, and trying also to help different users to better understand how statistics work, how you need to understand the data that are coming out, and what you need to ask for when it comes to the quality and reliability of the statistics. And in that sense, the Statistics Office also has a role in the statistical literacy context. Next, please. So our 4 countries that we'll be presenting today are countries that we at the UN Statistics Division have been working closely with in the last 4 years. And this is linked to a project that we are having, which is funded by FCDO, formerly DFID, and which has been running now for a few years. We have a project website that you can see at the bottom here of the slide. And the project is covering 20 countries, 10 in Africa and 10 in Asia. It's overall linked to SDG monitoring and implementation to increase evidence-based policymaking. But since April, we're also covering COVID-19 response. The project also has an aspect of user engagement activities. In a majority of the 20 countries, we've been running joint user engagement workshops where we've had participants from the wider statistical system. That means also from line ministries, but also from other actors like the media, academia, and policymakers. In these sessions, we've also been conducting key informant interviews, focus group discussions, and roundtables. And we've done that with different user groups and done that jointly with the statistical offices and the statistical systems, so that there is an increased understanding of what the needs are and how to interact in different ways with the users. We've also discussed how to target materials more towards specific users. And as well, we've been developing user engagement strategies. That has been done for all the countries, but in collaboration with ECA, or the Economic Commission for Africa, has been developing also a guideline for how to produce user engagement strategies based and linked to the project, which will be available soon. On statistical literacy, just to come back to that, we've also been discussing this a lot. As you can see here, this is just a graph that we put together very quickly to say it's very easy to be fooled if you're not very statistically literate. If I can have the next, please. The next graph is showing how it should be, in the sense that you show all the years on the x-axis, and you show all the numbers, and you start at 0. So the graph looks very different, but it's easy to manipulate. And if the users are not statistically literate, they will not be able to see this. And it's been done on purpose, as we also heard in some of the opening sessions of the World Data Forum yesterday. So please move forward on the presentation slide. This is a role that statistical office also are playing in trying to share information in a reliable way and in a way that is transparent and showcasing all the different elements. In relation to this, next, Elena, please. There has also recently been developed an e-learning course on statistical literacy, mainly targeted towards policymakers, but I think it's also interesting for many others. This course has also been developed in relation to the global network of institutions for statistical training, who will also be developing more materials and making more materials available on the GIST homepage soon. With this, I want to also start handing over to our panelists, which I know many of you are waiting for. But before that, maybe a quick update from you, Richard, on how it's going on Pigeonhole.
Thanks very much, Rebecca. So as a quick reminder for those who maybe joined the session a little late, we really want to harness the collective expertise of everyone who's joined this session by hearing about your ideas for how official statistics producers can engage with users and reach out to new ones. And you can do this by going to pigeonhole.at and entering the code GW9TQJ, or simply scanning the QR code on the screen. While you're there, please tell us about your favourite user engagement approaches you've either implemented yourself or seen others use, as well as ideas that you haven't seen put into practice yet, but you think should be. And encourage everyone in the session to use Pigeonhole and vote for your favourite ideas, and we can discuss the most popular ones at the end of the session. So there's people starting to use Pigeonhole, but hopefully over the next coming presentations, we'll get more and more ideas, and I really look forward to seeing them all. And again, just as a quick reminder, please use Pigeonhole only for this purpose. If you've got the questions for the speakers, please use the chat in Attendify. Okay, thanks everyone, and back to you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Richard. And I'd now like to hand over to our first speaker. If we can have the next slide, please. Our next speaker, or our first speaker, is Ms. Abarash Tariku from the Central Statistical Agency in Ethiopia. She will be sharing some of the excellent work that the CSA has been doing in the last years. So over to you, and thank you very much for joining us, Abarash.
Okay, so thank you very much. I'll be presenting on the new approach of that Central Statistical Agency of Ethiopia will be using. Next slide. So I'll continue from my side. The content of my presentation will be, I will have some introduction, and then I will present on user engagement strategy, also user satisfaction survey, the infographics competitions we have, the new website which we developed, and the Africa Information Highway, which we are practicing, and conclusion. Next slide. As an introduction, Central Statistical Agency has started to use new strategies to reach out broader audiences, and some of this includes designing user engagement strategy, conducting user satisfaction survey, and also infographic competitions. We also redesigned our new website to increase its availability to audiences, and we also use Africa Information Highway as open data platform to disseminate our SDG data to users. And all these have helped us to make our data more usable and accessible. And we have a user engagement strategy on next slide, which is designed from 2012 to 2016 Ethiopian calendar. And next slide. So the user engagement strategy, which is to be used, developed for 5 years, and it's developed in collaboration with UNSD and ECA, Commission for Africa. Consultations at different user groups, with different user groups, which include sector ministries, researchers, media, held at the design stage, and the validation workshop was also held and finalized. And based on that, the coordination structure formed as per the strategy, and the different coordination teams have designed their TOR and action plan to be implemented in the coming, to be implemented in these 5 years. And the vision which we have is in this user engagement strategy is well coordinated and collaborated NSS by improving statistical activities for effective production and utilization of quality data in Ethiopia. And we have around 4 strategic objectives to strengthen strategic and mutually beneficial partnership among users, to foster production and dissemination of quality data, to increase awareness and build capacity, and also to enhance capacity for NSS. And the user engagement strategy have different parts. We have defined the core values and key principles, the users and their needs identified, the means of engagement, different means of engagement are also listed there, which includes consultation, meetings, and different medias, capacity building, trainings, building awareness, key informant interviews, and also coordination structure. So we have a structure where steering committee, socio-economic technical working group, population and demographic technical working group, and advocacy, user advocacy and media campaign technical working group is designed. And the next activity which we work to engage our users is conducting user satisfaction survey. And we have conducted user satisfaction survey to assess to what extent the inputs are meeting, our outputs are meeting the needs. And the main objective of the user satisfaction survey was to assess the extent to which official statistics are being used, to gauge to what extent we satisfy the needs of users, to explore how easy or difficult it's to access our data, and to monitor the change in supply, quality, and use perception. So we have reached out these different target groups. Around 362 participants participated from public government, from business, from education, media, international organizations, NSOs, professional associations, and political parties. And based on this, the level of satisfaction against the quality, the major quality dimensions were measured by this user satisfaction survey. And some recommendations from the user satisfaction survey have come up with, that some of the recommendations are CSA should inform users about the entire available spectrum of statistical indicators. And we need to continuously work closely with line ministries. We also they also informed us that CSA should provide trainings, and we also should improve our website, and metadata should be provided. Level of disaggregation should increase, and CSA should establish a platform for communication, coordination, and collaboration. And there is a need to keeping the momentum in identifying users' needs. So these are the recommendations which come up out of the user satisfaction survey. The next activities which we involve users is infographic competitions. So infographic competitions were held, and participants from universities submitted their different infographic activities, and we have also gave them an award for those who did best in the infographic competition. The other one is we reviewed, redesigned our new website so as to make more reachable by our users. And the new website have new features which involve search engine, e-learning, which also support both Amharic and English, and it has also many quick links. A price database is also included, and which increase also data visualization. The last activity which we use as for reaching our users is the Africa Information Highway. And the Africa Information Highway is the Africa Development Bank's initiative that has linked the African countries through the open data platform. And now it's also used as a dissemination platform for SDG indicators. And CSA, in collaboration with the UNSD and Africa Development Bank, is now using the Africa Information Highway to disseminate the SDG indicators. And then on the next slide, we can see Ethiopia data portal on the African Information Highway. And next slide. Yeah, so this is a portal which is dedicated to Ethiopia on the African Information Highway to disseminate the SDG data from CSA Ethiopia. And in conclusion, the NSOs should use new approach to reach out to a broader audiences so as to make their data more accessible and usable. And engaging users at all stages of survey and the censuses should be considered by NSOs. And appropriate means of engagement should be applied to reach out different groups. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this, Abras, and I think the work that you're doing is really great. All the interaction that you've had with different stakeholders, how you involved everyone in your user engagement strategy work was really good. So thank you also for sharing your work with us. Next slide, Elena. The next speaker will be Nazira Karamalieva from the Statistics Office in Kyrgyzstan. She will be sharing some of the excellent work that the National Statistical Committee of the Kyrgyz Republic has been doing. And she is currently the head of the Sustainable Development and Environment Statistics Department at the NSC. Over to you, Nazira.
Thank you, Vibeke. Dear participants, let me shortly share the experience of Kyrgyz Republic in reaching out a broader audience for statistics. Next, please. As a first step, the Statistical Committee accepted a new law on official statistics, which works as a foundation for building communication with different stakeholders. Now, according to the new law on official statistics, National Statistical Committee is not only one producer of official statistics. There are new producers, and the role of NSO is changed completely. Also, new law dictates new rules in communication, so it requires to use new approaches in reaching our audience. So according to new law, we should revise the member of council on statistics and engage new different stakeholders with their new view to statistics and their new understanding of statistics. So within the SDG, the Kyrgyz Republic, the SDG within the SDG and the Kyrgyz Republic, in our country, we have a SDG coordination mechanism. And it includes 5 working groups, and they are in economy, directions, social, the environment, governments, and one of the group is monitoring and evaluation. And a National Statistical Committee is leading this group on monitoring and evaluation. So in one side, it helps us to reach new users and new audience of statistics. But in other side, it requires new approaches because we should to meet with new audience, we should to meet with new users and new different views. So NDC, so in this case, NDC is a main strategy document for any NSO. And today, National Statistical Committee of Kyrgyzstan is working on new strategy, and this new strategy will include the main development direction of statistics for 5 years. And of course, here we are taking into account new audience, new producer, and new user of statistics. So to ensure the achievement, the aims of new strategy, from our side, we annually develop a statistical plan. And usually in planning, it's for 1 year, we are taking into account a new demand for statistics. Therefore, we have moreover, we have developed a roadmap for monitoring SDG indicators in our country, and at the same time we are implementing ADAPT tool. Shortly, ADAPT tool allow us to determine our gaps and advantages in producing statistical data. So for statistics, of course, the main role in communication in reaching audience, it's plays its tools and channels. And from today, from our side, we use different channels and tools as our official website, where regularly we publish different publication, news, statistical data, and publish different information as well. So also within our project, we have developed national reporting platform for monitoring SDG indicators, which disseminate data and metadata in user-friendly format. And moreover, it's support SDMX format and can be easily used for different platforms and for different users. In the same time, we have our mobile app, which also help us to disseminate the statistical data in general and also for SDG as well. So mobile apps, it's very useful for our users because it can help, you know, everyone today has mobile app, and so everyone can get any kind of data everywhere. So also here I would like to emphasize that to have a productive productive communication, of course, it's important to have face-to-face meeting, but due to the COVID situation, most of us didn't manage to do it, and therefore we have to use new approaches to get our audience. So from our side, for example, a National Statistical Committee to use more social media, for example, Facebook. So, but as it's social media and it requires different formats, we also had to change our formats of disseminating our data and to be interesting to our audience, which we start to publish our data in more interesting format as infographics. And for example, last time we have published information like data and facts about SDG and such kind of interesting things for our users. And another time, and also within the VNR process, we have prepared new statistical publication, which is called Monitoring SDG, and it actually has completely new format. Why? Because all the available information are in infographics, and each indicator has a short explanation and determination, and not just in the way we use as a statistic, but it's in simple words to be more user friendly for our audience and for our readers who is not statisticians. Next slide, please. And of course, NSO in our country also has huge challenges in reaching audience and some of them is weak interest of producers and users of statistics. Also, there is a low capacity of National Statistical Committee in communication. So we have, but we see that there is a we can do new steps to solve this problem. So some of them is elimination of the mission of NSO. Also, we should increase the data literacy of our users and our audience, and engage our politicians to use statistics in their work, in their monitoring. So of course, all the steps should be included in our strategy. On communication strategy, which should be developed not only within our statistical office, as we have new players in statistics. We should to engage different stakeholders, new users of users of statistics, new producers of statistics, and of course our partners. Nowadays, National Statistical Committee already has a communication strategy, and also we are developing strategy for SDG. As the time is changing, as we see with the COVID situation, all the time there is new requirements. This communication strategy should be flexible and be should be changed due to the situation. So, thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Nazira. And also very great work that you're doing at the National Statistical Committee. I remember how much also the National Statistical Committee has changed, having worked with you now for over 10 years. So it's really great to see all the work that you're doing. Thank you so much. Over to you, Richard. Do you want to update us on Pigeonhole?
Sure. Thank you very much, Rebecca. So we've got some great ideas coming in on Pigeonhole. It's really good to see people contributing and also voting for the ideas that they like the most. So I could just ask everyone, if you haven't already, please go to Pigeonhole, take a look at the ideas that you can see posted there, vote for your favourites, and also add in your own I'm sure if you're a user of statistics, you probably have ideas about how you'd like to be engaged better by National Statistical Offices. If you're an NSO, perhaps there's something that you've been doing within your office that you're particularly proud of, which has allowed you to reach out to a different audience than you have in the past. So please share your ideas, vote for your favourites. We'll be coming back and having a look at some of the best ones later in the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. And with that, I'd like to introduce our third speaker, Professor Samuel Anim, who's the Chief Statistician of the Ghana Statistical Service. Ghana is sometimes experiencing some issues with internet connectivity, so Professor Anim has pre-recorded his intervention for us. He will be speaking about a lot of the work that they are doing following feedback from a variety of users. Professor Anim will also be joining us live for the questions and answer session, so please don't hesitate to put questions in and attendify for him as well.
Thank you. It is at a forum. I'm going to share with you some thoughts on new approaches that we are embarking on at Ghana Statistical Service to ensure that we have a broader and also a diversified audience that uses our data. And my name is Samuel Anim, the government statistician. What I do in this presentation is to share two broad issues to give a sense of the data space in which we operate and enumerate four things that we're currently doing at Ghana Statistical Service to ensure that we have the needed recognition and we are servicing the nation with the right statistics. I start by sharing with you some interventions that we put in place during COVID-19, specifically the dashboard and the core detail records, and also the launching of 3 survey trackers that help us understand the impact of COVID-19 and how Ghana can come out of it. And conclude by sharing with you some engagement with government and the continuity of our engagement with our stakeholders since COVID-19, and also to ensure that we've reached out to the needed people that use our data. I start within the data space by talking about how we are utilizing a variety of data sets. In this new world that we have non-traditional data sources, every National Statistical Service is putting in mechanisms to ensure that we harness the full benefits of both administrative data and big data. So at Ghana Statistical Service, we are engaging with Statistics Denmark and other bilateral and multilateral agencies to ensure that we get our administrative data system well in place, and more importantly, integrate that into the traditional data sources. So it's going to be a hybrid and a complementarity between traditional and non-traditional data sources. The other thing we're doing in the data space to ensure full utilization is to integrate international data sets into our national data sets to help give a better sense of how our data, both from a methodological point of view and from a statistics point of view, benchmarks with other international data sets. This gives us a sense of how we can learn from other countries that have similar developmental challenges, and also how we can assess our progress towards these interventions. What we're currently doing also is to ensure that our past surveys and censuses are aligned with our current data collection. So for instance, when we're rolling out the survey tracker, we decided to get a sample from our recent Living Standard survey to help give a sense of how people have moved in and out of poverty over the past 3 years, and more importantly, to get a sense of how COVID-19 impacted on these households that we visited in 2017. We also are conducting pilot surveys with the aim of expanding the sources of data for SDG tracking. Specifically, what we've done is to target SDG 10, which talks about inequality, and SDG 16, which talks about governance. And specifically what we did was to do a pilot survey to get a sense of how recruitment cost compares with earnings for migrants. And this is one of the specific targets within SDG 10, which aims at reducing inequality. And also for SDG 16, what we did was to look at issues related to responsiveness of government to the concerns of citizens or people in Ghana. Within the data space, we're doing every effort to ensure that we move away from old ways of doing data collection, old ways of analyzing data, by integrating strongly IT techniques in our operations. So we now are using CAPI data collection, and with the census ahead of us, it's not only CAPI that is defining our digital census, but we are harnessing a number of IT interventions, including the citizens platform, an enumerator bureau for recruitment, a learning management system, a data management system where we're going to put in all our documentations and quite other interventions that really suggest that we are rolling out a digital census, and that is not defined only with the use of copy. We currently are implementing the tenets of the Statistical Service Act, which was passed in 2019. One of the things that it brings to the fore is for us to more than double the statistics that hitherto we were delivering to the people of Ghana. And also what we are doing with the Statistical Service Act is the opportunity for us to have a code of practice and ethics, and also to ensure that we engage regularly with ministries, departments, and agencies. And how the Act allows us to do that is the setup of a Statistical Advisory Committee, which has 12 subcommittees that cuts across all the ministries, departments, and agencies that we have. Also, at Ghana Statistical Service, we have the opportunity to deepen our engagement with a more regular data set and a more disaggregated data set. And we do this by going into the Harmonizing and Improving Statistics in West Africa project, which is a project that we have a facility from the World Bank for a 5-year period. This gives us an opportunity to roll out some more regular data set, including a quarterly labor force survey, and also helps us build capacity in the area of data science. Another area within our data space that we put an emphasis on is the responsiveness of our website in terms of the information that we have on there. Related to that is what we did within the COVID-19 period, and two major things that happened had to do with the data dashboard for tracking COVID-19, specifically gives us a sense of how COVID-19 is impacting at the district level, impacting at the regional level, and also directed policymakers to the potential hotspots within the country. And some of the indicators that we use had to do with places where they least adhere to hygienic protocols such as washing of hands, places where you have at least one smoker in a household, and places where you have a high density of people who are 60+ years. The other thing that we did within the space of COVID-19 was to harness a collaboration with one of the telcos in Ghana, which gives us access to call detail records. And we use the call detail records to help get government to assess its effectiveness on the restrictions that it imposed during COVID-19. So specifically, we're tracking mobilities at the aggregated level to get a sense of the likelihood of infections as a result of COVID-19. Indeed, that mobility data that we have has attracted international appetite, and now we have requests from quite a number of international agencies looking out for this data to help address the variety of public health challenges that we face as a country. We did roll out 3 surveys: the household and job tracker, the business tracker, and the local economic tracker. The intent was to help government to better understand the pathways by which COVID-19 is impacting on businesses, households, and the local economy, and also help the government get a sense of how we can get out of COVID-19, given the structures that are in place and the preparedness or optimism or otherwise pessimism of people in Ghana on how COVID-19 is impacting and how to pull out of this. We continue to engage government on several fronts, and during COVID-19, our relevance heightened because government declared publicly that it's going to fight COVID-19 with data and science. So Ghana Statistical Service was well placed to offer government with information, including proportion of people who save in Ghana, population in different areas, poverty in different areas, and as I indicated, with the call detail records, we're able to help government assess the effectiveness of its restrictions that it imposed. We engage with diverse agencies, including the National Development Planning Commission, the Ministry of Finance, and the Ministry of Planning, all in anticipation that our data is going to be used to influence policies in the country. We did not renege on our responsibility to sustain our regular releases. So throughout the COVID-19 period, we put in mechanisms to ensure that all our monthly consumer price index and producer price index were released. And also we were able to track data from the different sources that we use for our GDP. So our GDP for quarter 2 2020, we got the requisite data and we were able to release that as well. Moving forward, we're going to sustain these engagements, and what we realize is the potential of IT, is a potential of different sources to help us engage with a more broader audience and a diversified audience. So we're going to sustain our live streaming of events, our social media engagement, both print and electronic media outlets, so we're going to harness them to ensure that the data that we produce is really used in the sense that policy will tap into it to help transform lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this from Ghana. I see that we also have Sam live with us, so please also ask questions in the chat on Attendify. We haven't had many questions so far, but I'm sure many of you are wanting to ask questions to our excellent panelists and learn more about all the great work that they're doing. So here is also the overview of Professor Aneem's great work. The next speaker that, and the last speaker that we have in this session today is Dr. Ola Awad, the president of the Palestine Statistical Office. She will be sharing some of the work that PCBS has been doing in the last years, which is also really impressive in many ways. So please listen to our excellent the excellent ideas of Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Viveki, and I was really very pleased to listen to the previous speakers. Before I start, and as of today, it's on the occasion of the International Statistics Day, I would like to congratulate all of you on all the efforts that we are all doing to bring really data on board. And this session is really very important because it comes really in parallel with about the modernization of statistics. I'm going to start actually my presentation. I'm the one who's actually controlling Viveki, the presentation, so I can move it, or how it goes.
It is Elena, who is our back end here. She will be moving for you.
Okay, so we can move. Okay, thank you. So when we talk about the modernization of statistics, we are talking about communication of statistics is a core part of the modernization. Communicating understandable and easy to use statistics facilitates the process of sound and sustainable policy decisions and contributes to enhancing the trust in official statistics. Can we move on? Can we move on? Can we move with the presentation, please?
There is sometimes a little bit delay, so Elena will push it as quickly as she can.
Yeah. So I may say, just to save time until they move on with the presentation, with the slides, I may say poorly disseminated and communicated data will lead to useless of statistics and the loss of efforts and resources that we are doing as NSOs. The communication of statistics, it's actually a process. So communication is vital for all the NSOs to remain relevant. Communicating statistics entails 5 main components. I don't know why we're still, yeah, can we move to the next slide too? Next slide, please. Thank you. So communicating statistics entails 5 main components. So we're talking about extracting statistics intelligence in context from the pool of disseminated available statistics, and this is the what. The who is applying tailored market segmentations. The third is the how, using various communication concepts and forms. And the fourth is the which applying multiple communication channels. And the fifth is why, which are the descriptions and applying statistics knowledge. So here we're talking about to define our user groups. I may give an example. So one of our target groups is our actually kids. In PCBS, we are glad that our children are really a priority. I may say that actually 40% of the total population in Palestine is under 15 years. Thus, a large focus was put on this segment in our strategy. So we have on PCBS website, a school children website. We have on yearly basis a school statistical competition, and this is part. He's actually the winner in this photo. There's also another program that we are running also for kids called Data Science for Kids, which we launched it last year on the occasion of International Statistics Day. We often receive school tools, and we give lots of lectures at PCBS and in schools. Can we move on, please? Next slide, please. We focus also, when we talk about leaving also no one behind, we focus on persons with disability. They are actually a priority as well. We organize often a special event to market the International Day of Disabled on December 3rd on yearly basis to raise awareness on the importance of statistics on this segment. We produced a short movie that was broadcasted as part of the event. So these are really very important. And I really I invite everyone who are actually in this session. I mean, you can click to any of the videos and to listen. It's also actually, it is actually supported with a sign language. So all our supported, it is adapted to sign language, even our websites and videos. Next slide. We are thinking also out of the box all the time. So we are using different tools and we are targeting different groups. Next slide, please. Next slide. So the next slide, this one actually, thinking out of the box, although we are actually statisticians, but we are creative really. And we outsourced actors and actresses, and we were able to communicate with the public through a theater play with a focus on youth, young men and women. And we actually, in this theater play, the one that is shown, we were focusing on communicating on gender gaps statistics. And this type of play was replayed over 30 times in a whole year at all local universities and also at all local theaters. And it was really, we received so many positive feedback on the way that we are actually using different means and ways actually to approach all our different target groups. Next slide, please. So the next slide, until it comes, it talks about part of the new modernization initiatives and partnership. So the Data Science Initiative was created in partnership with the Arab American University. It's a local university in Palestine to invest more in data science as a new science of data. And this is part of the modernization of statistics. The initiative seeks to enhance opportunities for the youth to tap into the enormous potential of data science. The initiative focuses on fundamental challenges related to awareness, skills, data utilization methods and coordination mechanism. So, see this picture, the second one, actually this was 2 days ago only. It was a program, a joint undergraduate program between PCBS and the Arab American University, an undergraduate program on statistics and data science. The 4th year of the undergraduate program will be in PCBS, and it will be an applied year in PCBS. This slide, we are talking about another way of approaching our target groups. This, what we are talking about, map stories application. This has been developed in cooperation with ESRI on socioeconomic topics. We succeeded in utilizing story map application to tell its story about the main sustainable development goals indicator in attractive and easy flow by combining maps, narrative text, and fact images. And this actually, we succeeded to develop such story maps using the SDG Hub platform. So the first one, we were talking about a story map on the early marriage in Palestine, which is a crucial issue or an issue of concern in Palestine. And the second story map about empowering women in the labor market. Next slide, please. I don't want to take too long, but this is also another example to keep up with the development. We're talking about what we have actually developed during the COVID-19 pandemic. We have launched an electronic platform, a data hub in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The hub includes indicators related to the pandemic and its impact on the Palestinian community. In addition, PCBS is conducting a special household survey. We have already released the results today on the occasion of International Statistics Day. We measure the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the social and economic conditions of Palestinian households to provide the necessary data to meet the needs of decision and policymakers, whether from the government or the public and private sectors, in addition to the civil society and international institutions. So this will also help in the interventions and in developing programs in reducing the effect and consequences of this pandemic. This one, actually, we are talking about a platform which we have developed within the UNSD-DFID project. It is actually within the framework of our policy of disseminating data using modern tools of dissemination. We launched this database of SDG indicators. It includes all metadata for indicators, as well as data tables in the form of time series that were based on national sources. It aims to serve planners and policymakers in the process of progressing the sustainable development for appropriate planning and evidence-based decision-making. PCBS integrated SDG indicators with its geospatial data through Hub and ArcGIS online applications. We are still working really very hard, and we are really moving way forward. Today, we have launched what we call it chatbot customer service. Chatbot customer service is a tool. It's a very new tool that helps any user from PCBS Messenger who has entered PCBS Messenger to quickly locate data through an automatic reply tool. This will enhance the user experience and access data. I want to really thank the UNSD-DFID project, because preparing our metadata, we succeeded in being able to develop this chatbot customer service on the Facebook Messenger. We also, today, we were supposed to launch the Interactive Development Atlas with the government. We have built a cluster-based development atlas for the government in areas of population, agriculture, tourism, and energy, in addition to different indicators supporting the SDGs 2030. The Atlas, which was launched, it was supposed to be launched today with the presence of His Excellency, the Prime Minister, and it includes a set of interactive maps. It will be actually our monitoring tool for the government for their planning, for their actually planning program for the year. This is mainly the most tools that we are using, and still we are really thinking out the box. And I really also listened very carefully to the previous speakers, where I also learned from you a lot. Thank you so much for this important session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. And I see some of your interventions have really led to very much positive feedback in the chat on Attendify. I think your theater played as a new idea to many. So thank you very much. We now have about 15 minutes left of this session. We have not received too many questions, but we will give you all a quick chance to respond to one question that I had, and I'll combine it with a question, one of the questions that we received in Attendify. So my question to all of you is to share with us your experiences of interacting with users. How do they react to your increased interaction with them, your increased approach to reaching out and engaging with them? And also linked to that, what is your impression on whether that has increased the use of your data and also the trust in data and statistics in your countries? And then in relation to that, the question we received was linked to a website and materials for school children. And for those of you who have that, do you manage to teach them how to use evidence for making decisions? And if yes, how do you do it? So I'll give each of you 1 to 1.5 minutes. And after that, we'll be hearing back from Richard on Pigeonhole. I think we already have a few that are standing out on this. So maybe we'll hear again from Abhirash first. So if you could give us some of your thoughts around the question that I was asking. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So on the first question, I don't have a special website for school children, but what we are thinking is mainstreaming the statistics in the education curriculum, so that the school children will understand what statistics is all about, what it is used, and how to use it, and how to interpret it, and so on. So that's what we're thinking. Regarding the second question about the feedback which we get from our users, yeah, the users are very much interested and happy to be more involved, so that what they're saying is the more we involve them, the more they get some trust, because they know how the data is produced, what procedures we use, and how we manage the procedures we use to improve the quality. So they are very much interested when we involve them at all stages. So what some of the feedbacks which we get is like to use more simplified way of presenting the data, so that they understand the data and they use it in a more friendly way. That one is to involve more, to include more indicators in our dissemination, to collect more data which are needed by the community. The other one is to work more closely with line ministries, especially because line ministries have administrative data and they need more capacity building So they give us such feedbacks, and also to improve our website more to be more reachable. So generally, they are very much interested when they involve them, and that is the feedback which we get. Actually, we also have developed a communication and advocacy strategy in collaboration with UN Women and Statistics Norway. So we are almost on the final stage, and we will address some of the problems by the users based on this strategy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next, Nazira, please share your thoughts.
From my side, I would like to emphasize two ways of interaction with our users. Is when it's face-to-face, and the second one is online version. So from first first methods, I would like to say that we have get very good feedback. Why? Because while we were building our communication strategy, we ask our users and other producers to make their contribution to this development. So, but to make their contribution, they should learn what kind of data we are producing, what kind of channels we are using, and for dissemination data, and also use their own experience in using our data. So in this case, we see very huge interesting of our participants and in this process. And I think it was very useful not only for them, but also for us, because at the end we had some product. From their side, they share experience between them and with us, their view how it should be better to communicate with them, which instruments is better to use to disseminate data, or what kind of platform to use. The second, it was of online version, when we use social media and websites, and usually we just disseminate and just forgot about it. But within the SDG, we tried new methods when we sent this new information personally. I mean, by mail, by telephone, by Facebook, by Messenger. So in this case, we noticed that we have much more interested from users. Why it happened? Because when we just publish news, sometimes users just or our audience just miss it and don't get any interesting on it. And after we upload new news, they just don't get any attention. But when we send it personally, they open their mail, their messengers, and see some interesting things about statistics. But here it's very important to get their attention by using interactive things. I mean, by infographics, or maybe very interesting name of our news, or for example, if we are sending just, I don't know, news about SDG 1, should to say like on what kind of level Kyrgyzstan on the world, or what kind of poverty in the world, what's the rating. So such kind of things all the time interesting. Yes, it's new for us, because usually we are very strict, to be honest, as a statistics, but it's new way how to get new audience and how to get feedback from them.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it sounds like very good approaches, and thanks for sharing. Sam, are you still with us? Would you like to share some of your thoughts on this as well?
Yes, thank you, Vibeke, and good morning, good afternoon to colleagues. Sorry I was not able to join live because we're scared of the internet connectivity. We also don't have a specific program for youth, But I would want to elaborate on two things that we are doing with the universities and also with other agencies, specifically civil society organizations and also our PPP arrangement. So in terms of what we are doing to ensure a diversified audience and a broader audience with the universities is to involve them right from the start. So instead of producing the data and giving it to them to use it, what we've done in recent times is at the very early stages of conceptualization of whatever we want to do, we engage the universities. And we don't engage them just for them to come and validate whatever we've done, but as I indicated, right from the onset, they are part of it, where the funding is coming from, the future directions for it, and so on. And in line with this, we are getting them to do two things. One is to provide a platform for archiving the data to widen the possibility of reuse of the data. And secondly, when it comes to the analysis, that is further analysis, not just the descriptive, we engage them on that front. So they are part of the process throughout, and this helps in getting them on board to ensure that the data is reused. Again, in terms of our engagement with PPP, that is public-private partnership, that is what I mentioned in my presentation in terms of the collaboration that we have with the telcos. And this, again, is not just an issue of engaging them at the time that you've made up your mind, but throughout the processes, you get them on board. And one of the things that is happening with civil society organization is the development of our data quality framework. And this is where we think that if they are involved and they appreciate what we go through as far as quality assurance is concerned, it simply is going to help reuse of the data. The other thing that I want to talk about is social media engagement. And my advice is that we as heads of NSOs should be seen as users of social media. I mean, until recently, I wasn't that active on Twitter. And I think that since I joined and given my academic following, I get people who have come on board, and it's receiving the needed attention. So we need to sort of lead by example as leaders of NSOs. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And it looks like internet connectivity wasn't a problem, but glad we were on the safe side. And thank you so much for joining in any case. Ola, over to you as our last input provider on this, and then I'll hand over to Richard afterwards.
Thank you, Vibeke. For the first question about receiving feedback, yes, we do. I can give just an example to save time. I mean, in the Day of Persons with Disability, for example, on December 3rd, when we organize a special event on this day, we succeeded really to bring the attention to the disabled. In the video, if anyone, and I call everyone in this session to open the link and watch the movie or the video, actually, the statistics were presented by the disabled themselves. And this gave really a real meaning to the numbers. And I also want to mention that this video brought lots of attention because it was put on the media, on the local media and on the local TV so many times. And we know that from this video that, I mean, there was real attention from the government on developing the law of the disabled people here in Palestine. And I will also, we received feedback also from this disabled themselves about how much attention that they got when actually they participated with us in such event and in such video talking about numbers from by themselves. This is only one example. For the second question about teaching kids how to use data for evidence-based decisions, I may say, I mean, we do that, but it's actually indirectly. So the school children program that we do includes website. It aims actually to increase data literacy for this segment. We do it through fun games and competitions. They understand the importance of data in decision making. So learning is done indirectly, which is, I see it as a mother, as the best way to learning through actually playing. because statistics is often, I may say, a rigid topic, we try to make it really closer to children's daily lives. And through visiting PCBS and being with PCBS events, they see that actually the statistical office as a friendly environment for them. And this encourages our kids too. I may also say that recently, it's actually 2 days ago, it's our first joint undergraduate program that we've done with one of our local universities about statistics and data science. And I may say that this is also another example that we can provide, bringing theory into practice, also to help in how to teach them using data for evidence-based. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And with that, I'll hand over to Richard, who will introduce some of our good ideas and have people present them. Thank you. Over to you, Richard.
Thank you very much. And thanks to everyone who's contributed their ideas. It's been fantastic to harness the insights of the broader statistical and data community. I think that's one of the really wonderful things about the World Data Forum, that we're able to do that. So you can see some of the ideas on screen. I think provides in itself an incredibly useful resource for NSOs thinking of new ways to reach out. I've got a few of the contributors of those ideas on the line now. So starting with Derek, if you could, in 1 minute or less, share kind of your idea with us, that would be brilliant. So.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so what essentially the idea centers on is that your social media the use of social media has increased dramatically, I would say, since COVID has started. Your video content in particular is extremely popular. You could look at the rise of TikTok, for instance, as being evidence of that. In addition to which, the barriers to creating video content is lower than ever now. Both from the context of the tools that you can use to create it and also viewer expectations on production values and what they would expect in terms of how nice the video looks, for want of a better word. So the idea essentially is that NSOs can tap into this and cheaply create short videos on different topics and issues for sharing on social media. And the idea with sharing on social media is that videos generally tend to be shorter rather than longer. And you could look at, for instance, the video created in Palestine, for instance, which looked at disabled statistics, and they added that human faced it as being something that can really engage in users, and it's something that could really spread on social media.
Brilliant. That's great. No, thank you, Derek. And I'd love to see kind of the NSO TikTok. So please let me know who the first NSO to have an official TikTok channel is. Okay, so if we move on now to Lei Chan. Lei Chan, are you able to share with us your idea?
Yeah, thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you.
Did you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yes, my idea, I was thinking that since the National Statistical Offices promote a lot of tool and data dissemination that already online, like many platforms. However, they produce and disseminate through the web-based and NSO website database system rather than broadly to the public user. However, since the increasing of the data user through the smartphone, and especially the search engine through the mobile phone app, especially from the wider user like student, private company, the other international organization, including a wider citizen in the country, they are interesting to look at the through mobile app, especially the title that I gave, the data development. It really fit with the current data development for sustainable of the development. And also I was thinking that not just to promote for the data user from a public and wider audience, but also promote a jointly developed app that meaning from the so-called community, including private sector, not just only to promote for the data user, but the data developer as the whole. But what is my idea? Thank you very much.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. And Lei Chan's from the National Statistical Office in Cambodia, which is one of the UNSD-FCDO project countries. So it's fantastic to hear from you, and thank you for sharing your ideas. Then finally, we just got time to go to Claudia Wells. If you'd like to share your idea, please.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. And thanks to the rest of the panel. It's been fantastic to hear about all of the innovative approaches. And I think actually this is what we need, lots of people sharing all of their innovative ideas. But I kind of put my hat in the ring for stronger partnerships between official producers of data at NSOs and unofficial producers at kind of the CSO and community group level. I think there's some really great mutual benefits that could be had from that. NSOs can learn a lot more about applying human rights-based approaches, not just to data collection, but to the analysis and the dissemination afterwards. And often those organizations, community-based groups and civil society organizations are also collecting a lot of data themselves. And it would be great to see that data flow back into the official stats system to sit alongside official statistics to really paint a picture that shows the real lived experience of people within these communities. And I think there's a real kind of learning opportunity there with those CSOs really understanding the quality standards that are needed by the official statistics producers to enable that use. So I think it has benefits all the way around. And my other idea was to not forget the human element, because you can't get away from someone talking really passionately about data. And I think statisticians can do a lot more to talk a lot more passionately about their cause. But perhaps all national statisticians having a TikTok channel will we'll sort that out. Thanks.
It's the way forward. So thanks a lot, Claudia, and thank you to everyone who's suggested ideas. Please go and check out the ideas if you haven't. I think there's some real food for thought for National Statistical Offices in there. So thank you very much. Back to you, Vibeke.
Thank you so much, and thank you to our panelists. Thank you to my co-moderator Richard, and also thank you to Elena, who's been running us through this from the back end. And also just to remind us all, a big thanks to FCDO for making this possible for us in terms of being able to work with these fantastic statistical offices and working with them on user engagement and improving the trust in statistics, which is really also the motto of today on the World Statistics Day. So thank you again, everyone. Looking forward to continued interaction, and happy World Statistics Day. Bye-bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.